The Early Line with Mario and Musso. Mario and Musso have your early line on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I mean, we're just here to have fun and win and have fun by winning.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, here's Mario Jerez and Matt Musso.
And a good Wednesday afternoon. Welcome in. Matt Musso alongside Mario Jerez to my right. We have your early line. Casey Gaines, Taylor Sharp on the audio and video boards. They're along for the ride. Glad you're along for the ride with us. Plenty to get to today, Mario. The NBA playoffs, those march on. Got a little bit of baseball to talk as well here. Yeah, when we get into the daily spread. Jeff Sheesby, old man who bets, he will join the show at 2:15 talking some NBA. And we're finally going to do it. We've kind of teased it for 2 days here. We've just had so much the last 2 days. But we're finally going to get into the SEC championship odds for college football from both Caesars and Bet Online at 2:30 here today as well. How are you, Mario?
Doing well, Musso. Pumped for the show. 2-0 night last night in the NBA. Shout out to the Suns and to the Heat. Very excited to talk to Jeff and pretty pumped up for our poll, too. Go vote on our Citizens Bank poll of the day over on 1045 ESPN.com's Twitter, and we'll address it at the end of the show.
Yeah, man, it was a really good night last night for me as well. Was with you with the two NBA picks, both favorites. Also, the no runs in first inning parlay, it cashed yesterday, so hopefully you tailed along with that. It was a good day. Let's see if we can't replicate some of that success with today's daily spread.
Daily spread. What are Mario and Musso watching tonight?
I'm talking about big money, real big money.
This is our daily spread.
All right, so we'll start the daily spread today with today's no runs in the first inning play. Now, this one's a quick turnaround. This game starts at 2:40 Central Time, so, kind of about 37 minutes from right now. It's the Marlins at the Diamondbacks, Sandy Alcantara versus Merrill Kelly. We've featured both of these guys already this season pertaining to the no runs first inning angle. Alcantara 4-2, no runs first inning. Kelly, likewise, 4-2, no runs in the first inning. You look at the Arizona Diamondbacks, they do not hit the baseball very well. 201 as a club, they average just over 3 runs per game. The top 3 hitters in that D-backs lineup today are a combined 0 for 9 with 3 strikeouts career versus Alcantara. As for the Marlins, they have tallied a first inning run in just 2 out of their last 10 games. And their first 3 hitters in the lineup today are a combined 0 for 5 with 3 Ks career versus Merrill Kelly. I like the potential here, and at a decent price too, coming back minus $1.45. Marlins, Diamondbacks, no runs first inning, 2:40 Central, first pitch. So coming up now on 35 minutes from right now.
The attendance of that game is going to be rough.
It's going to be terrible.
Diamondbacks and Marlins afternoon on a Wednesday.
Yeah, not good.
Oh, my goodness.
Not good.
The attendance at this game is going to be a lot better, though, I suppose, as the Milwaukee Bucks visit the Boston Celtics. Game 5 of this series now. Milwaukee stole home court advantage with a Game 1 win when this series first started, but the Celtics returned to favor. They won Game 4 in Milwaukee, and they had the momentum now. But this has been a really tight series. Ultimately, it's been a great series so far. Both teams have won on the other team's home court, so the series has officially started. Musso?
There it is.
The past 2 games have featured multiple fourth quarter lead changes. In my opinion, there's no reason either team should be laying 5.5. That being said, I think the Celtics caught Milwaukee a little bit by surprise in that Game 4. I mean, I sure as hell didn't know Al Horford still had that in him. Not only did he have 30 points, but he was on fire from 3. 5 of 7 from beyond the arc for Al Horford in Game 4. He's now 14 out of 28 for the series, and he's shooting 53% from deep in these playoffs. I'm curious to see how Robert Williams, the Time Lord, is integrated into the game if he is able to go. He's questionable with that injury, but either way, I'm going to need Brook Lopez and Giannis both to get a little bit bigger, play a little bit more physical on defense, and I know they're capable. They did that all last postseason when they won the NBA championship.
It's been a really physical series in general.
It has. 2 really good defensive teams, two of the best in the NBA statistically. And for the Bucks, we need good Drew Holiday tonight. We were talking about it on the show the other day. There's good Drew Holiday and there's bad Drew Holiday, just like there used to be good and bad Bo Wallace back in the day with Ole Miss football. Very similar. Sometimes he's great, sometimes he's a terrible player on offense. And in Game 4, you remember the stat, the Bucks were 4 of 21 on shots that were in the paint but not in the restricted area. When I tell you Drew Holiday was 5 of 22 on his own, that stat makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? He needs to either find his rhythm offensively or find other ways to affect the game. Drew Holiday cannot shoot the Bucks out of this game, but I think he can have a bounce-back performance tonight, similar to how Jason Tatum did for the Celtics in the last game.
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing a lot of minutes, obviously, without Chris Middleton out there. He's been putting up a lot of shots without Chris Middleton out there. The percentage just isn't what you need it to be.
Yeah, Boston at home, I could see them get the win, but like we said, 5.5, way too big of a number. I expect Milwaukee to keep this game close, if not win outright, so fear the deer, plus 5.5.
So, in keeping with Bucks Celtics here for my next play, the old saying, Mario, right? When you fall off the horse, you get back on. So let's look at the total. I still lean under in this series. The Bucks, they miss Middleton on offense. Obviously, we just kind of talked about that with Holiday, and they especially miss him on the perimeter. They just have not shot the three well. They lack a perimeter shooter without Chris Middleton. Boston is a great defensive team. They were the number 1 defensive rating team in the NBA in the regular season. They're number 3 in that category here in the postseason. And they've even done a nice job with Giannis, and especially around the rim with Giannis. They've allowed the second fewest points in the paint in the playoffs the Boston Celtics defense has. When playing at home, the Celtics have held the Bucks to 101 and 86 points, respectively. Now, you look at Milwaukee, and you kind of touched on it too. They're also very good defensively, and they've done a nice job on Brown and on Tatum, really outside of a couple games here in this series. And the Celtics, like the Bucks, really haven't shot the three all that well. And yes, look, I understand. Game number 4, it went over this very number at closing, 213.5. But it took a 43-point fourth quarter from the Boston Celtics to do that. Before that, the two teams were on pace for 204, a combined total of 204. I think we returned to the norm a little bit tonight. Physical matchup yet again. I like the under 213.5 coming back minus $1.10 here in Bucks Celtics.
I'm with you. That fourth quarter was insane. It reminded me of the third quarter for the Suns in Game 6 against the Pelicans, to where they couldn't miss. I mean, Boston as a team made 16 out of 19 shots.
Or the Suns' third quarter last night against the Mavericks.
Touche. Big win for them. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. For now, my second play here in the daily spread, Golden State is a 4-point favorite on the road tonight. They lead this series against the Grizzlies 3-1, and everybody seems to think this series is over because Ja Morant is out for the Grizzlies in this game. He is likely out for the rest of the playoffs for Memphis. On the other side, Warriors coach Steve Kerr will also miss this game. He's out with the corona. Mike Brown will coach Golden State. Future Kings head coach Mike Brown. If I could stop for a moment, imagine being the Kings and letting go of Alvin Gentry and hiring Mike Brown. That's like the Spider-Man meme. Sacramento, go to Sacramento, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it the other day. The last time Mike Brown has had success in the NBA is it's been a little bit of a while.
Yeah.
And it's been a minute.
And please don't give me Mike Brown went to the finals. I'm pretty sure Alvin Gentry could go to the finals if he had LeBron James. I think anybody in this room could coach a team to the NBA finals if they had LeBron James on it. But that's neither here nor there. Back to this game, Ja Morant out, Steve Kerr out for Golden State. And for Memphis, the news of Morant is just a total gut punch, man. This team has been so good, so resilient all season, and I think Memphis is definitely to be respected going into this game. Remember what happened last time. 10-point underdogs, they covered the spread, and they actually led the entire game in Game 4 up until the final 2 minutes, but they're still catching 4 here. Will this be a continuation of what we saw all season like it was in the last game? Remember, Memphis 20-5 straight up in games where Ja Morant did not play, 9-4 against playoff teams in games that Morant missed. That being said, what scares me the most for the Grizzlies is how much of an anomaly Game 4 was for the Warriors, a game they still won despite awful shooting. Golden State in Game 4 shot 40% from the field, they shot 24% from the three-point line, and they missed their first 15 three-pointers to start the game. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole combined to go 4 of 24. There's no shot in hell they don't shoot the ball better tonight, even on the road. And I know the Grizzlies are not going to lay down. Again, Taylor Jenkins, great coach. They still have good players up and down that roster, but the Warriors are just going to be too much for them. Memphis' only hope to win this series was like a superhuman performance from Ja Morant, and that might have been possible. We remember the 43-point performance, but it's a sad reality that we're not going to get to know the impact Ja would have made on this series. And I think tonight, Memphis will find a way to keep it close, but not close enough to cover. So give me Golden State -4.
I'm with you. I'm on Golden State to close this one out tonight and cover the 4 for the reasons you went through and that we went through yesterday. they're not going to have a shooting performance like they did in game number 4. Even on the road to Memphis, they'll shoot better. And if they do, Memphis without John Morant, they don't have the horses to score with the core of Golden State. It's just, I think that's a bad matchup there, and I like the Warriors to close it out and cover the 4 tonight as well. That's today's daily spread. We'll grab our first break of the show, come back on the other side, talk to Jeff Sheesby, old man who bets. He'll be joining us to talk some NBA playoffs, as well as a little bit of other gambling angles as well. That's next here on Early Line, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Mario and Musso, the Early Line. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The 2022 Smoke 'em If You Got 'em, presented by Mockler Beverage, is almost here. Smoke 'em If You Got 'em is an event that raises money to support military veterans and their families. Tickets are $100, and this year's event benefits the Special Forces Charitable Trust. Come enjoy live music, a grill station, a cigar station, a dessert station, a live and silent auction, and so much more. It's the 2022 Smoke 'em If You Got 'em fundraiser, presented by Mockler Beverage, Sunday, May 22nd at Bent 77. Learn more at smokeembr.com.
This isn't just another day, it's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning.
On Thursdays, Off the Bench, we slide into the weekend baseball and softball series with Coach Jay Johnson and Beth Torina. And is softball ready for that SEC tourney? Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Early Line with Mario and Musso. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
NBA playoffs starting to get fun. A couple of entertaining series here in the second round. A couple more games on deck for tonight as the Warriors visit the Grizzlies and the Bucks visit the Celtics. Joining us now to talk about it from New York City, recurring guest now here on the Early Line, Jeff Sheesby. He's a betting analyst with the Action Network. You can follow him on Twitter at OldManWhoBets. Although last time he came on, we established he's not really that old. He just has that Twitter handle, so people will be nicer to him. And we're happy to have Jeff on once again. How you doing, Jeff?
Great intro, guys. Thanks for having me back. Great day for a great day. It's sunny here in New York, and I'm thrilled to be talking NBA playoffs.
Great day for a great day. I've begun following you on Twitter, man. I really appreciate the positive energy. I'm going to continue watch you make those videos. I'm going to continue to watch your show. But let's get into the action for tonight, or better yet, let's preview the action from last night really quick before we do. The Suns Mavericks series has been a lot of fun. Phoenix kind of flexed his muscles last night. Incredible third quarter from the Suns at home. But do you think Dallas can still find a way to win the series?
I don't think they can, honestly. I think they're outmatched at too many positions. You know, when you need Luka to go off for 40 every night, things are trouble on that front. Not that I don't love Maxey Kleber or, Darian Finney-Smith, but I think this is a team that just has too many ways to beat you. We saw it last night. The fact that it was even close in the first half, that was just a Phoenix, kind of shooting errors more than anything else, and they turn it on and rip free. So I think Phoenix, probably the best team left. I'm excited to see what they can do. I hope CP3 can get that ring, but that doesn't mean I'm not bullish on the Mavs for years to come. I think Luka is the truth.
In the East semis last night, Jeff, I mean, like the West semis, home court has just held serve in both of those. And again, last night, man, the Heat got out to the 31-19 lead at the end of the first quarter, and they never really looked back. Would end up winning it by 35. Jimmy Butler continues his hot play in these playoffs. 2 40-point games already. Went for 23 last night. Kind of your thought overall on the Heat-Sixers series. Can the Sixers does home court continue to hold serve there?
Yeah, I think home court will. I think the Heat are going to take this one. Ultimately, what Jimmy Butler's doing, super, super inspiring. I believe he's leading the league in second points per game, something with 32.3. And so much of it is done with just like a brolic approach, right? His mid-range game is fierce. He's been working all offseason with Chris Brinkley, one of the premier trainers in the NBA, and it's really starting to show. I think he's separating himself, putting the boys to bed and letting the men go hunting, and he just keeps eating. I think it's really interesting to see how kind of Duncan Robinson hasn't been in that rotation with Victor Oladipo coming back. Obviously, Oladipo, one of the elite scorers of the last couple of years, been traded, been hurt. But that, I think, is an interesting ripple as well, especially after they give Duncan Robinson that 3-year, $90 million deal or whatever it was. And personally, guys, I went to Tufts University in the NESCAC. Duncan Robinson went to Williams in the NESCAC. I believe the only NESCAC player to ever make it in the NBA. So I do have a little bit of love for him. But either way, I think the Heat are going to continue to roll unless Embiid can magically get way more healthy and return to his MVP caliber self.
Yeah, I really respect what Embiid's doing. He's out there really banged up. He got hit in the face through the mask last night, but I don't think James Harden is the same James Harden from a couple years ago. And the Heat, from top to bottom, are just a better basketball team. That makes me happy, Jeff, because I have a futures ticket on Miami. I've made that very apparent here on the show that I hope they make the finals. Speaking of which, you touched on Jimmy Butler for a second there. The narrative with him is always the Heat don't have that star player, right? But do you think Jimmy Butler could be the best player on a finals team? And I say a finals team, not counting the bubble when Miami made it then.
I think so, man. I mean, his numbers are ridiculous right now. Huge ups from the regular season, right? He averaged, I think it was 21 and change in the regular season or so. He's up to 28.3 in the postseason. His minutes are up. His rebounds are up. His assists are right where they are. But, I think you see a lot of guys dominate the regular season, and then playoff basketball, a different beast. I think Jimmy's proving that he has the physicality, he has the mental strength to really go toe-to-toe with whoever comes in his way. Trae Young, unfortunately, on the other side of that buzzsaw. As a Knicks fan, I was thrilled to see that happen. But nonetheless, I think he can handle it, man. I think they've got a pretty good deep squad. I think they got enough guys to bail him out if he does have off games, whether that's dishing inside to Bam or maybe Hero will remember how to shoot one of these games. But either way, I think they're poised for a big run here.
Before we get into tonight's action, Jeff, I mean, look, we obviously are down here in Baton Rouge in Southeast Louisiana, and we haven't talked to you since before the Pelicans made that playoff run, and that was really the biggest surprise of the playoffs. I think they grabbed a lot of people's attention, taking the Suns to 6 games after winning, the 2 play-in games to even get that 8th seed. Just what do you think of the New Orleans Pelicans going forward? There's already a lot of stock being bought on them for next season.
Yeah, you got to feel great about this squad. I mean, super, super young. I think you've got, CJ and Jonas as the oldest players on the roster at 30. Everybody else hovering in that 24 to 26, 27 range. Obviously, we hopefully can get Zion back next year. I was hoping to see him come off the bench at least in one of those games, especially with those dunks he was dropping on Instagram. But seems like you're, as positioned as well as you possibly can be. That McCollum trade was massive just to take a little bit of scoring pressure off of Ingram. So young core working hard. That team's playing with fire and passion. Some of those intangibles, especially when they're going up as huge underdogs against the Suns, to even keep that series remotely interesting, I thought was a win. Hopefully you guys can continue to build that and keep that momentum going coming into 2022, 2023.
Hopefully. And for what it's worth, man, I know you're a Knicks fan. They have a lot of good young talent too, right? RJ Barrett and Toppin. And as somebody who follows the Pelicans, I could have told you that Julius Randle is good for a great year every other year. So that is good news for you guys going into the next season, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm feeling pretty good as a Knicks fan as well, even though this season didn't go our way. 1, the Garden remains elite. 2, you said a good young core. And playing with passion, right? I think there was some conversations around, we obviously didn't let Kemba play at all. We're finally getting guys like IQ onto the court, and good things happen when all of a sudden you have scrappy young dudes who want to be out there rather than guys on the wrong side of 30 who don't necessarily need to play every minute in the Coach Tom Thibodeau style of relentless D and hustle and things along those lines. So, was it an off year? For sure. Does it feel like we're finally trending in the right direction? Absolutely. Did we trade any of our young talent for washed-up former number 1 picks? Not yet, and I'm hoping that we won't do that, period.
Jeff Sheesby is our guest here on The Early Line, betting analyst with the Action Network. Let's talk about tonight's games. The Warriors at the Memphis Grizzlies. Golden State a 4-point favorite on the road with a chance to close this series out. Total set at 218.5. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game here. I would lean towards the Grizzlies. I think it's a pretty small line. Even without Ja, obviously, that is very, very concerning. But this is a Memphis team that is 20-5 without him, which is pretty damn good. They do obviously see a little bit of an offensive drop-off. I believe it was 3 points per game less. But they've got a lot of guys that can score. I'm looking specifically for 2 player props tonight on this game, none of them on the Warriors side. That's going to be Jaren Jackson over 17.5 points at -105. I think we saw what he could do last game, his first game without Ja. He goes for 21 points in that game. We look at his minutes per game, series over series. Those are also increasing. We're looking to buy on player prop points. Opportunity is a huge thing we handicap on. So he was averaging 24.5 minutes against Minnesota for just under 12 points per game. Coming into this series, 30.8 minutes per game, 20.3 points per game. Last night, 34 minutes, increasing again. And he had 21 field goal attempts, which we love to see. Again, trying to handicap that opportunity. Of course, these guys still need to go out and hit shots, but that's the second most attempts that he's had all season. Somebody needs to eat up those 40 points that Ja is leaving out there. I think he will be one of them. I think the other guy to target tonight is going to be Tyus Jones. He obviously went off in Game 3 as well. He was averaging about 20 minutes a game. All of a sudden, Ja's out. He had 41 minutes in that game. Their point guards are not particularly deep after Ja. He was 8 for 18 for 19 points. That one's at 14.5. He only had 1 turnover within that 41 minutes, but I also think is wildly impressive. So I think between him, Brooks, and Jaren Jackson, those are the 3 guys who are going to need to go off tonight if they want to keep their season alive. And Tyus Jones looked pretty good. So I'm going to back him as well at over 14.5.
What has been the series of the playoffs so far? Gets underway again, gets back underway tonight. It's the first game of the night. Bucks visiting the Celtics. The Celtics laying 5.5, 213.5 your total. Anything you're looking at here, side total props?
Yeah, I've got one prop here, and a couple things that were really interesting on this one. I was looking at just opponent 3-point percentage on the season, and then trying to juxtapose that with the playoffs, obviously understanding that those are two wildly different beasts. So we see the Bucks here, they were allowing the 18th highest 3-point percentage in the regular season, which for a team of this caliber, is way higher than you'd expect. So wanted to go a little bit deeper on that, see which position specifically was weak. And that's going to be small forwards, point guards, and shooting guards. Unfortunately, going deeper on that, didn't really love any of those props. The point guard I thought would have been the sexiest of the three, but that's Marcus Smart. He's not a great offensive player. He's a little banged up. A lot of uncertainty there. Just didn't really want to go in on any of that. So trying to look at the center and the power forward position here. Interestingly enough, the Bucks have allowed a lot of threes to both of those. Only of the playoff teams here, only Brooklyn, Chicago, Minnesota, and Philadelphia are allowing more points per game to power forwards in the last 30 days. And no other team is allowing more three-pointers to centers than the Milwaukee Bucks. So who are we adding here? The resurging Al Horford, who thankfully plays both center and power forward. Doesn't get much better than that. And again, we're always trying to talk about usage here. His usage has only increased. Game 1, 36 minutes. Game 2, 37 minutes. Game 3, 39 minutes. Game 4, 42 minutes. And he's been shooting great, 4 for 7, 5 for 7 the last two games from 3. So that increase in minutes, I think, is huge. Regular season, he was averaging 29 minutes per game. In the playoffs, he's averaging 35. And ultimately, I tried to boil this down at just points per minute. Regular season, he was scoring 0.35 points per minute. In the postseason, he's scoring 0.45 points per minute. So if we extrapolate that out to his average of 35 minutes or what he's been averaging lately, I think he's going to see 39 points. He should have between hopefully 14 and 19 points tonight. That total is at 13.5 minus 110, I believe it was, at DraftKings earlier today. So I'm looking for that over as well. Hopefully my main man, Al, can stay hot.
We'll recap Jeff's picks in a moment. Just a couple more on the way out. Last one for me here. Joel Embiid, I thought, had some candid comments yesterday when he was interviewed about not winning the MVP. Nikola Jokic won it, and I thought Joel handled himself pretty good. He gave Jokic the credit, and he pretty much said that he doesn't really care what the media thinks, and said some other interesting things about maybe media having too much influence on this kind of thing. Do you have any thoughts on Nikola Jokic winning MVP and Joel Embiid maybe getting snubbed there?
Definitely an interesting factor there. I think they always try to talk about like team impact. Hard to say if you removed either of those guys. Neither of those teams are probably winning too much, but you do have, Harden coming over at the end. I think that might have influenced the decision a little bit as they kind of cruised into the end. I think he makes good points. What else do you have to do to win it? I think we've seen this every year. There's a discussion of somebody who is undeserving getting it or somebody who is more deserving getting it. Media heads are media heads, right? I think the same thing kind of applies to a lot of their sports betting takes. They're media analysts and they are great at talking on camera. Doesn't necessarily mean that they know anything about sharp line movement or how to bet intelligently. So I think he had a great take of just, taking it with a grain of salt. He's focusing on winning games, winning championships, not individual accolades. And I think it is what it is.
Jeff Sheesby of the Action Network giving us a few minutes, giving us a few props ahead of tonight, too. Jaren Jackson Jr. over 17.5 points for Memphis. Tyus Jones over 14.5 points for the Grizzlies as well. Also likes the ageless wonder Al Horford to go over 18.5 for the Boston Celtics tonight. Jeff, thanks for the time. Great day for a great day, is it not, my friend?
Amen, man. Thanks for having me as always. Good luck to anybody listening. If they're betting those, as always, 1 unit at a time, bet responsibly.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Jeff.
Well said. There he goes. Jeff Sheesby of the Action Network. We will have him back on in the future. Love the positive energy there from Jeff.
Always a good time, man. Always a good time. I like those props, man. The Al Horford, it's hard to not go with that after everything he just laid out there with the numbers power forwards and centers have been putting up against the Bucks.
Yes, Al Horford looked great in the last game. Let's see how he looks tonight in the next game of that series. This is The Early Line with Mario and Musso. More next. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso. 104.5 ESPN. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All Star Toyota today.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
And this year, 2022, it's time to finally treat yourself. Bring your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service. You want the latest and greatest marine technology? You want to go to the place that has not one, but two NMEA-certified techs. Family-owned and operated by the Sherman family for 30 years, front-to-back is the answer in Baton Rouge for all of your custom boat needs. So head to fronttobackboatservice.com or find them on Facebook, Front to Back Boat Service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. Recap LSU Southeastern in baseball, and it's a Whiskey Wednesday. Taylor Calandro joins us. Hopefully you'll join us as well. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
You're getting the early line with Mario and Musso on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You may have noticed that the on-demand sections have changed here. No longer just that 104.5 ESPN stream with everything on there. Each show now having their individual page on Apple, on Spotify. Do us a favor, go ahead and get subscribed up to the Early Lines on-demand page. Rate it, review it, leave comments, let us know. Just get subscribed up on Apple and Spotify. All you have to do, easy, real easy, just type in the Early Line, and it should come up right there. Get subscribed up. We'd
Yes,
appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Go do it. Fun time of year for this kind of thing, right? Sports betting, NBA playoffs. We got some futures for football. This is an exciting time, so go subscribe.
Exactly, right? You have things you can bet on right now in the NBA or in Major League Baseball. Look, the daily spread's going to be on there on demand. Any of the interviews, like the interview we just did with Jeff where he gave you plays, will be there as well. So go ahead and get subscribed. And then you'll have content like this there, Mario, where we're not necessarily advocating for you to bet on this immediately, but it's something to get the talking points started, something to kind of look at, and that's odds to win the SEC when it comes to college football. We've kind of been teasing this for a couple of days now here and just haven't really gotten to it. Now we finally have an opportunity to get to it. Odds from both BetOnline as well as Caesar Sportsbook. Let's start with the BetOnline odds. Alabama here at even money to win the SEC is your favorite, followed by the Georgia Bulldogs at 5-4 odds. Texas A&M 11-1. Florida 33-1, tied with Ole Miss for the fourth best odds. And the fifth best odds are Kentucky and Tennessee at 40-1. Then you have LSU coming there at 50-1, followed up by Arkansas and Auburn tied at 66-1. Everybody else, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Missouri, Vanderbilt, are all 100-1 or less. No real surprise, I don't really think, with the top four there at all. I mean, whenever you brought this up, a couple days ago, I didn't see it, and I was just trying to guess. And I was like, okay, Bama won. Yeah. Georgia, yeah. I said, is A&M next? He said, yeah. I said, Florida, yeah. And they were tied with Ole Miss. So nothing really surprising there. I think when you look at Georgia, they obviously had 15 players drafted. They do bring back Stetson Bennett at quarterback, who, look, no one gave the guy any credit last year, and he just kept producing and made huge plays, actually, in that national championship game down the stretch to win it. So seeing them there is not necessarily overly surprising to be second just because of what you lost, and especially on defense. Texas A&M's the interesting one, man. Obviously, look, everybody knows about the recruiting class. It's one thing to recruit. What do you do with them? I mean, that's going to be the ultimate question for Jimbo Fisher. And I mean, I think you're not even really certain who's going to start at quarterback there in the fall at A&M. So that's interesting as well, but not really surprised with any of the top four there.
No, and we know the COVID year is an anomaly, but the fact is Jimbo Fisher, to your point, has not won more than 9 games in 4 years now at Texas A&M, and we kind of see this thing, I feel like, we kind of see this kind of thing before every season recently when it comes to Texas A&M, and I maybe respect them a little bit more. I thought they were dealt a bad hand last year with the injury to their quarterback, but I don't think they should have the respect to be that high, honestly. 11-1, maybe a little lower. I'm not surprised they're the third highest team, but still, just based on the odds there. And then Florida and Ole Miss is interesting. We know Ole Miss lost a lot, Matt Corral going to the NFL, but Florida seems to be getting kind of a lot of hype in year one of Billy Napier, despite the fact that they're going to have a bunch of new faces. So both of those teams will be interesting for sure.
And you'll have a new quarterback this time, too. I mean, a lot of people are obviously thinking it would be Anthony Richardson, but you have to wait and see. They also have that Ohio State transfer in there as well, who will compete for a job. It is going to be interesting. One thing you want to see if you're the Florida Gators is you want to see them be better on defense, because that has just been a black hole for them really the past 2 seasons. So that's a challenge that Billy Napier has. You move a little further down the list, obviously in Kentucky and Tennessee. We mentioned them at 40-1 right now. 2 teams that return their quarterbacks, and Will Levis is getting a lot of love even in draft talk right now for next year's NFL draft. Hendon Hooker in the Josh Heupel offense showed a lot of good things there. So not overly surprising to see those 2 teams there either. Kentucky's been really solid on defense here as of late as well.
Yeah, Kentucky recently has been really good on that side of the ball, and Levis is definitely an interesting player. Again, I base a lot of my opinions on what we saw last year, and when I picked certain teams, and a lot of the times Kentucky came through, including in the last game of the regular season when they beat Louisville and covered in that game. And like you said, man, some people, if you read like draft reports, some people are kind of high on Will Levis and his skill set going into the pros potentially. So he might have a higher ceiling than some people think. I respect Stoops. He's done a good job there for a long time, but we'll see in the East. It's kind of Georgia and everybody else, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it feels like for sure, although Kentucky's really been up there plenty in that second spot here as of the last 2 years.
They got the top 10 last year.
They did, and they still don't get maybe all the respect they deserve. Mark Stoops is a hell of a football coach, man. He's a hell of a football coach. I would love to see him in a place with more resources than Kentucky. Now, he's obviously had opportunities to go, and he hasn't. So, I mean, that's, it's kind of, I guess, on him, but hell of a football coach. Let's talk a little bit about LSU. At 50-1 here on the Bet Online odds, they're at 40-1 when it comes to the Caesars odds, which look pretty different considering comparing them to the Bet Online. The top 4 teams aren't much different. You have Alabama, Georgia, A&M, Ole Miss is alone there. But then you get to LSU again at plus 40-1. At 40-1. So let's talk a little bit about the Tigers. Obviously, plenty of interest here in LSU, but a lot of question marks. I mean, I think you go in, you feel great about the receiver spot for LSU. Obviously, I think you feel pretty good about running back. I mean, John Emery had a great spring. You bring in Noah Cain. You still have Armani Goodwin. You still have Trey Bradford. So you have some depth there. Offensive line's obviously going to be a big question mark. You're still waiting to see how the quarterback battle shakes out, but you like where you are on the defensive side on the line. Cornerback, probably the biggest question mark on that side of the ball.
I would think so, too, although they bought a couple of transfers in to supplement that. And when it comes to the cornerbacks position specifically, I think LSU got 2 really good players there, but unfortunately they lost 2 better players, in my opinion, with Eli Ricks and McLaughlin both leaving LSU. So it'll be interesting to see that position and the offensive line, which, like you said, has a lot of question marks. But I think that the defensive line position, as well as the wide receiver position, is a serious strength for LSU. And if they're able to keep like the star players of this team healthy, like the core guys, Mason Smith, Keyshawn Butte, BJ Ojolari, Neighbors, everybody else along the edge at wide receiver. If their studs are able to stay healthy, play a lot of football, then maybe LSU can overachieve. They kind of are starting to try to form an identity. Like we said, maybe they're insufficient in certain places, but despite the fact that Brian Kelly's in year 1, he knows he has something really good to work with when it comes to the wide receivers and to the defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think LSU's right where they need to be when it comes to these odds. Both of them. I mean, you're in that 50-1, 40-1 range. That's fair. They have more questions than they do answers.
How about Auburn there with LSU, according to Saturday Down South? That was a little bit surprising.
Fade Auburn. I mean, Caesars has Auburn at 40-1 as well. Fade Auburn. I mean, they just have extreme questions at the quarterback spot. I mean, look, TJ Finley, I don't really know if he's the answer there. I definitely don't think Zach Calzada is the answer there.
I forgot he was there.
Yeah, exactly. Auburn played against that guy. Like, you saw him against SEC competition. I don't know what you saw from that just made you say, hey, we got to go run out and get us some Zach Calzada. They did. He'll compete with TJ Finley for that job. I don't really think either of those are great options at quarterback. So, yeah, I mean, I'm all fading Auburn. We'll probably fade Auburn a good bit. They'll be fairly solid on defense, and the offensive line's pretty good, but it's just, I mean, you have to have a quarterback. And, again, that's something that is why LSU's in the right spot where they are. I mean, you look at the teams ahead of them. Bama brings back the Heisman Trophy winner in Bryce Young. Georgia brings back Stetson Bennett, who led you to a national championship. Florida at least is going to bring back Anthony Richardson, who you think is going to be there. Kentucky, Tennessee, both bring back their starting quarterbacks. It makes sense. It makes sense for LSU to be right where they are. I mean, what we talked about more was win total yesterday, and it was win bet that had LSU at 6, which was just comical. That is undervaluing LSU. Putting them here at 50-1, 40-1 to win the entire league, I think is fair.
Yeah, I would think so too. I think as of right now, despite the fact that Georgia lost a whole bunch, like you said, 15 guys to the draft, they're still kind of the cream of the crop in the East. And Alabama, with Bryce Young, with everybody else that they have coming back, they're going to be the cream of crop in the West. So this is just seeing how kind of everybody stacks up so far. LSU, like I said, there's a chance they can overachieve a little bit. But just going into the season, I think this is kind of a fair evaluation.
You mentioned Auburn there as kind of a surprise. Anything else surprise you in these odds? And don't say Vanderbilt at 500-1.
I will make a comment about Vanderbilt. I'm all over the 1.5 total for them. 1.5, or the win total for them, excuse me. 1.5 for Vanderbilt.
How many games did Vanderbilt win last year?
2, I believe, in Clark Lee's first year.
They didn't get 3? Only 2?
No, they won 2 games.
Oh, that seems about right. 1.5.
They're going to win 2 games. That's where you can have some fun with the win totals, I think, is finding some good value right here early on and then doing a little parlay with the win totals. I think that can make you a little bit of money. And Vanderbilt is the one team so far that is a stone-cold lock. Come on, Clark Lee.
Okay, wow, man. A stone-cold lock, the Vanderbilt Commodores.
Yeah.
Those are words you don't hear in a sentence very often, Mario. In the same sentence very often.
1.5.
Unless it's baseball. Then you might hear those words.
Hopefully not this weekend.
No, it won't be this weekend. But, yeah, I mean, Vanderbilt is I mean, come on, it's Vanderbilt. They're not gonna do much.
Yeah, no surprise. Mississippi State, I think, could maybe not be good, but maybe upset a couple of teams. So maybe I would expect to see them a little bit higher. And a lot of people seem to be high on Tennessee as well, with Hendon Hooker and with what Josh Heupel did in his first year with that offense. So they're a team that, if Georgia falters, maybe there is some good value down the board.
And just another team that has to make strides on defense. The Tennessee Volunteers.
Yes,
because I mean, the offense was very good last year, but I mean, you think back to the game against Pitt. I think Tennessee scored in the 40s, but they gave up way too many points to Kenny Pickett and Pitt and lost that game at the end as the clock expired.
Exactly, against Ole Miss too. That was a game where they were driving down the field to try to win the game, but just too much Matt Corral, and like you said, got to tighten up a little bit on that side of the ball. But if you got a quarterback and if you have a good play caller as a head coach, I think you have a pretty good foundation.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. You have to have a quarterback to win in the game of football. We'll take our final break, come back, close out Early Line next. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Early Line. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
This isn't just another day, it's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
On Thursdays, Off the Bench, we slide into the weekend baseball and softball series with Coach Jay Johnson and Beth Torina. And is softball ready for that SEC tourney? Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're getting the early line with Mario and Musso on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Wrapping up the show here on a Wednesday afternoon. Shout out to Jeff Sheesby of the Action Network for coming on earlier this show. You can catch that at the on-demand section. Shout out to everybody in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat as well. Tunchi, as well as James Fortenberry. My man Ed O has been on a heater lately. Thanks for giving us your plays. Thanks for interacting as always. All right, time to wrap up the show with today's Citizens Bank poll of the day, Musso. And the question posed to the audience on this Wednesday was, who would make the best celebrity ambassador for the Pelicans? Like what Drake does for the Raptors, like what DJ Khaled does for the Heat. More on that in a moment. Who would make the best celebrity ambassador for the New Orleans Pelicans? The choices were Juvenile, Birdman, Harry Connick Jr., a little bit of variety there, or other. And the winner of the poll, somewhat surprisingly, at least to me, was Juvenile with 44.7% of the votes. I guess it's still getting hot in here.
I mean, look, it's the pick you had to make. It would be epic. He's been courtside before for the games. He just needs to embrace his inner Drake or DJ Khaled. And also, first of all, you said Drake and the Raptors. It's Drake in a lot of teams, right? Those other teams just don't necessarily claim Drake.
Yeah, the Raptors pay him, and he still is out there kind of being a bandwagon fan. That's neither here nor there. But you remember a few years ago when Drake had that encounter with Nick Nurse, the Raptors coach. He went and rubbed his shoulders. He pumped up the crowd a little bit, and Air Canada Center was going bananas, right? Well, we had a similar moment last night in South Beach as one DJ Khaled was sitting courtside. We got the video queued up. DJ Khaled was sitting courtside, enjoying his seats, enjoying life. The Heat are up big at this moment, and he picks up a loose ball. Somebody hands it to him. He gives it to Strus, does everything he needs to do, but then he takes it one step further, literally goes out to the scorer's table, pumps up the crowd, and then gives Eric Spoelstra a little shoulder rub, the same way Drake did to Nick Nurse a couple of years ago. My Uncle Juan was at this game in Miami, and he said when that happened, the place went bananas. Like, if the Heat go on to make the finals or win a championship, that will be kind of a moment throughout the run that people will remember.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can't believe that's allowed. I mean, I know they were mad at the Raptors when Drake did that. No one's messing with DJ Khaled. He's Canada. Out there pretty much on the floor at the scorer's table, hyping the crowd. He's touching the head coach. He's high-fiving other people down courtside. Sure. I mean, why not? Hey, if you're going to be able to get away with it, let's have Juvenile out there do that, or even Birdman or Manny Fresh or somebody like that. Let's get the Smoothie King Center jumping even more than it already was in the playoffs.
For sure. I do have to say, though, Eric Spoelstra looked a lot more like natural, not really as awkward as Drake did with Nick Nurse, in my opinion. And then when they asked him about it after the game, Eric Spoelstra straight up said, I was humbled to be a part of that moment. I was humbled to have DJ Khaled come rub my shoulders. That's literally what he said.
I was humbled. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, surprised, I think would have been a word I might have used if that happened to me. I don't think I went to the game expecting, like, if I'm Eric Spoelstra, to just be there in the middle of a loose ball timeout and have DJ Khaled come up and rub my shoulders.
So as we wrap up the show, though, question: if Juvenile, the winner of this poll, does this to Willie Green as the Pelicans are up big in a second-round playoff game, do you expect the same kind of reactions?
Absolutely, probably better.
I think Baby would have been a better choice. I think Birdman would have been the way to go, rubs his hands, but that's just me. For what it's worth, Juvenile has done a couple halftime performances already, so kind of already there. Shout out to DJ Khaled and the Miami Heat. Hopefully we cash that futures ticket and they go to the finals. Talk more NBA tomorrow. Looking forward to the show. We'll be here from 2 to 3 p.m. For now, stay tuned for After Further Review and Matt Moscona coming up next, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.